The April 15th tradition of WWE releasing a ton of talent continues here in 2021. What's going on, guys? Good mic work commentaries back at you with a quick impromptu commentary here on a Thursday night. Luckily, I have just enough time to come up here and do a video, a quick live stream discussing all of these releases that was announced today by WWE earlier on in the day, or actually this morning when Good Mic Work was fast asleep. WWE announced on their website and social media that they have come to terms on the release of about 9 wrestlers: Samoa Joe, Peyton Royce, Billy Kay, Kalisto, Chelsea Green, Tucker, Wesley Blake, Bo Dallas, and then later on in the day, Mojo Rawley. So we are into our spring cleaning portion of the year that we get every year. WWE always lets go a handful of talent. There's a few surprising names on this one, and I have a feeling there could be more coming tomorrow. So this might not even be the least of it, considering when you look at some of these names here and how many people that we thought had, a future in the company are gone. They might turn around and hit us with another fresh batch tomorrow. So we might want to be prepared for that, coming up here in the next couple of days. But I figured we would at least come up here now and discuss some of these releases, some of the circumstances there, read a couple of reports that I had seen today from Fightful Select, gauge some of the feedback from all of you. A lot of fans were kind of upset today on social media and everything about some of these releases, specifically Samoa Joe. And we'll talk about what the futures of these people are. A lot of love being shown to all of them on social media today. All of the people that released seem to have very positive vibes coming out of this. All of them posted for the most part on social media. Some of them even seem to be happy about this. So, overall, this will hopefully work out okay for most of this talent, but you can't help but feel sorry and sad for some of it. So we'll be getting into that here and some of these surprises and who, if any, could potentially now maybe turn up in AEW, because that's the beauty of AEW. We now have another company out there, and WWE doesn't have this market cornered. Now, I don't think all of these released talents would work out and be perfect in AEW, but a couple of them would, specifically one of them. So we'll discuss some of that, and what we make of all this, and if you think any more can happen here in the future. And it's also, a pretty disgusting situation. Let me grab this up here before that falls. It's driving me crazy. It's a pretty gross situation at the same time, because when you think about all of the money that WWE's making, because apparently all of the talent the reason they were given for these releases today was cost-cutting measures. But we already know WWE's got like literally billions of dollars coming in from television deals, from Saudi Arabia, from God knows what else. And, these cost-cutting measures are bullshit when you look at some of these numbers, especially when WWE does their quarter financial call, which I think did they do one today? Which I think they did, with a couple of little tidbits being released there, including some of the salaries that people like Stephanie McMahon are taking in. Stephanie and Triple H took in $700,000 and $1 million each, respectively, for on-air wrestling personality roles. Neither one of them wrestled. I think Stephanie appeared one time on TV with Asuka. And this is the type of money that they are, just have no problem just throwing away, but at the same time, talent, perfectly capable of talent. And the only reason they're not being used is because WWE just can't think of shit for them to do. They release them and fuck up their livelihood, when in reality the cost-cutting measure is horseshit. There was a time in WWE when it was a more family-run company, when times were a little bit different, when money was tight, when it wasn't very easy to just pay anybody anything, whatever you wanted. WWE was more of a family-run company. There were times when they just couldn't afford to keep wrestlers around, which is why Scott Hall left and Kevin Nash left, and even Bret Hart left a year or so after that. But nowadays, when this company is such a mega, globally huge giant, when you hear about some of these releases that they could have easily not done, or cut costs other places, it's hard to swallow. Some talent, you understand, yeah, sure, they haven't done anything in years, you got to release them, that's business. But when you take somebody like Billy Kay, who arguably has probably got more charisma than half the people in the damn company right now, and has been featured every single week on TV, they split the IIconics up with the intent of seeing how they did in singles. They never gave either one of them a chance, and they just cut them, especially when they've been working hard. They seem to have a good attitude. They are extremely beloved. I was a little bit hard on the IIconics at first, but they grew on me because they do have a love for it. They did work hard. They did try. They were really interested in making their career in WWE and becoming wrestlers. Of course, Peyton Royce is with Shawn Spears. I'm sure they've been working together. She's been improving. I've liked what I've seen from her in the ring. When they first started, I didn't really care for either one of them. When they split them up, I was like, Peyton Royce is getting better and will probably continue to get better. and then Billie Kay's been fucking hilarious on SmackDown and stuff. So those are kind of a bummer. Chelsea Green is another one. Boy, did they do her wrong. They brought her in. Chelsea Green, I think, is a star. And they brought her in NXT, and then they moved her up randomly to the roster and did nothing with her. She got injured in her debut, and it was a complete mess. And now she's been cleared and ready to return to the ring. She's been posting things on social media, seems to be eager about that, and then they just up and cut her. When it comes to like, your new crop of women, give Chelsea a chance, man. You never even gave the girl a chance. She's a fun character. She's got personality. She's got charisma, and she can do a whole lot, especially if she was able to tap into some of that stuff she was doing on the indies and stuff. There's potential there, and WWE didn't even want to try. Just cut her. So, with a good portion of the names, at least today, I'd say nearly all of them, but not all of them, at least half, will probably land jobs, potentially even in the other company. You'd have to think that Peyton Royce can go over and join her boyfriend now. Good for her. Billie Kay, I think, needs to be the lead announcer on AEW like tomorrow. And Samoa Joe is the big name. And we'll talk about some of the details here, but you think about the potential of Samoa Joe being in AEW and all the potential there and all the opponents and a lot of the TNA and Impact throwbacks. He could return to Impact through AEW or go to AEW through a return to Impact. Either way, you could put him and Taz side by side in a commentary booth. There's all sorts of shit you could do with Samoa Joe there, and a lot of matches that he has left and hopefully has left in him before he has to retire. We will get into the specifics on that regarding him. Apparently, he has not been cleared by WWE, but he does want to wrestle again. So these are now all options for him now that he's gone. And in the long run, it might be better. But this is a guy that was calling Monday Night Raw a week ago. Now he's gone. And they got Adnan Virk in there, so which is getting vastly negative reviews so far. So it's a shame. In some circumstances, it might be a blessing in disguise for another. Tucker today on social media tweeted out freedom because he really hasn't done jack shit. Once they split him and Otis up and decided to put all their attention behind him, he became the Jannetty, and they literally did nothing with him. He was invisible. So he is a guy that, as much as I think he got a raw deal, I also think you kind of have to release him. What are you going to do with him? What does he really even have to offer? So let him go do the Drew McIntyre thing. Where he leaves, goes off on the independents, maybe just finds his niche, makes a name for himself, comes back in with a fresh name, fresh reputation. Who knows what he could do down the line. But I think that might have to be the path for Tucker if he chooses to stay in the business. Bo Dallas, we don't know what's going on with him. He's been inactive for 2 years. And Kalisto, who's just a fantastic talent. I don't know why they're letting him go, of all people. I'm oddly blocked by Kalisto on Twitter. I don't know why the fuck that is. Never said anything bad about him except for lovingly poking him fun at him over the Lucha thing stuff. But other than that, he's blocked me for whatever reason. But I still didn't want to see the guy released, and he's a hell of a talent, and that's a shame. Former U.S. champ, gone. Mickie James, another one. Now she can maybe be a little bit closer to her husband now. And I'm sure she will turn up on the professional wrestling scene. There's no way she can't. I'd love to see her in NWA Power, maybe even turn up in AEW. We can't say AEW for all these people, but Mickey's somebody that could, be around in an AEW because of her experience. That's who you want. You want people with a lot of experience backstage, and the women's division could use some coaching, so having her back there could be an asset to them, but also, doing something in NWA might be fun. Mojo Rawley, overwhelming positivity, almost to an annoying level. The dude is such a hard worker and so crazy and always game for anything. He's kind of one of the sadder ones because he seemed like he was literally willing to do whatever they said, and he would give it 6,000,000% in every single thing they asked him to do. So obviously he wasn't a huge favorite of a lot of ours, wasn't a huge favorite of ours on this channel, but when he was out there, he gave it his all, even if, he might have not been connecting. But I think somebody with a drive and a work ethic like that, how can you at least not give him some sort of ball and have him run with it? They tried. Remember, they painted his face up and they kind of gave him a character, and then all just disappeared. They start stuff and then they stop it. They never follow through or give anybody, most of the time, a real true chance. And and that's a shame. So we wish him all well. Wesley Blake is another guy who has been on SmackDown television even recently. He was one of the Baron Corbin henchmen, correct? So he was even around recently. But when you look at those names, it makes you wonder what we're going to hear and if we're going to hear more. Because when they're letting Samoa Joe and Peyton Royce, and they're letting people go who are actively on TV right now, there's still a whole bunch of wrestlers that we haven't seen on TV in a while. So, look for those names to turn up maybe tomorrow. I hope not. Hopefully this is the end of it. But it's become kind of a reality, of course, 1 year to the day that we dealt with this last year after the pandemic. And it was a much bigger release list than this because they were doing this largely because of the pandemic. This year, it's kind of different. We're used to this. This is an annual thing that they do where they release a handful of names. But, you know, some of these were surprising. I think they had a potential star there in Chelsea Green, somebody who could have done stuff. And, seems like they invested in the IIconics, and then just to cut them loose like that, I don't know why. It's kind of surprising. And Samoa Joe might be a whole different situation altogether. But like I said, the cool thing about today, I mean, if there's not any good news about today, but the one cool thing I saw today is on social media, everybody that was released was getting a lot of love shown to them by all of their coworkers in WWE, some of them in very high positions, some of them champions. So that was good to see. A lot of encouragement there. And for a lot of these people, you know, they're probably going to be okay in the long run anyway. Billy Kay and Peyton Royce will find work. I think so will Chelsea Green. I think Mickie James will be all right. Samoa Joe's had 5 years of a WWE contract. He's had a long career. He's probably financially fine. And hopefully he can pick up a little bit of money in AEW. It's the Tuckers that I'm worried about. Maybe the Mojo Rawleys that I'm a little bit more concerned about, where everybody else, and then Bo Dallas, of course, I don't know what he's going to do. I don't know, you know, where their future goes from here, but I hope that, you know, I hope it all works out all right for everybody in general. I'm just double checking something. I can be seen, right? Okay, we're good. All right, my screen went blank there. I was just making sure you guys could still see me and hear me. We are all good and all fine. Sorry about that little pause there. But anyway, I'm kind of just airing out my thoughts right here because I only have about 45 minutes to speak here. I just wanted to come up and let you guys know a few of my thoughts on this, and we're going to really read some reports from the internet. I'm going to answer the super chats and see what you guys have to say in the chat about it. And I also want to give you guys a scheduling update. One of the reasons I'm up here right now is because my plan was actually not to do a podcast this Saturday. I plan to kind of take it easy this week. I'm working on a lot of stuff behind the scenes actually on the channel. And plus, we're all suffering that WrestleMania hangover. We're all burnt out from wrestling. Even on, you know, when I was looking at the internet the past couple of days, looking at people's AEW and NXT reviews, seems like viewership is kind of down. Everybody's just a little bit burnt out on the wrestling content. So I was going to take a break this week, work on some behind the scenes stuff, and come back to you on Sunday night. We're going to resume the watch alongs for Sunday. I'm going to take the suggestion of a lot of you, since it is Backlash season, we're going to watch Backlash 2000 together. Right below you on the description, the very top of the description, the link to Sunday's stream is right there. So we're going to go live at 5 p.m. on the West Coast, 8 p.m. on the East Coast, and we're going to watch Backlash 2000, Triple H versus The Rock, Austin coming back in between in the middle of his injury, and all that stuff going on. One of the best Backlashes they've ever done, and a great main event. So we're going to check that out together on Sunday. So make a lookout, or keep a lookout for that. And that was the next time I was intending to come up and talk to you guys. But since all these releases happened today, and I wasn't planning on doing a podcast on Saturday, I'm like, you know what? I got to come up now and at least try to talk about this. If we get another 15 names tomorrow, I'll come up on Saturday, do another quick 45-minute stream talking about the releases, but a full podcast where we do everything we normally do on Saturdays. We're going to forego that this week. I got a lot going on, and I might even be sick. Got my second vaccine shot today, and apparently it's gnarly. So everybody that I've talked to have gotten the second shot say they feel like shit after. I feel fine so far, but I might not even be feeling that great tomorrow or Saturday. So that's another reason why I didn't really want to do the podcast this week. Take a week off. Let us breathe. Let me get some stuff done behind the scenes, and we'll hang out on Sunday and do a watch along. And then Monday night after Raw, when we do our review, we can catch up a lot of the stuff, the releases, any other wrestling news, that Evilise shit that's going on in AEW right now. Stuff like that. You know, we'll kind of maybe unpack all that on Monday when we're hanging out after Monday Night Raw, after we get what I'm sure will be a really crappy show. And that's the plan. So anyway, just as a reminder, no regular podcast on Saturday, but you will hear from me in a quick stream if we get more releases. If not, Sunday night, Backlash 2000, watch along, be here. Let's move on to some of these details. I want to read a couple of reports from Fightful Select today that offered a little bit of insight on some of these releases and why. The first one is just a report overall on the releases, and it reads, WWE has started to has started what appears to be the annual April 15th releases, cutting Mickie James, Billie Kay, Chelsea Green, Kalisto Tucker, Samoa Joe, Bo Dallas, Joe Raleigh, and Wesley Blake. Of those wrestlers, we've been told that Mickie James had been vocal backstage about her desire to continue wrestling. We're also told by talent that word emerged this week Samoa Joe had expressed interest in his desire to wrestle as of late as well, but was not cleared by WWE. Word of WWE cuts actually made its way around a couple of months ago. However, we've been told that multiple people among the cuts had inquired about whether or not they were going to be on the chopping block, and were told they weren't going to be among them, only to be cut. One wrestler told us it's just an annual quote. It's just an annual reminder that this company is not a family, and that is 100% correct. When, I mean, even last year they released like Mike Chioda and a lot of long-time employees. They cut Jim Johnson. They cut Mark Eaton a couple years ago. That long-time timekeeper that had just been there and done his job, you know, and all these crazy cuts, you know, from these people that, you know, have probably been, you know, making a lot of money as their, you know, their time with the company increases, and then they cut those people for cheaper labor and stuff like that when they don't even really need it. All they're talking about is bottom line and stockholder and financial bullshit. This company's got more money than it even knows what to do with. So when you see stupid, pointless cuts like this, some of them pointless, not all. I actually agree with a couple of these cuts on here. I don't really want to say the names. I don't want to, you know, shit on these people in case they're watching, but, you know, there's a couple cuts on here I do not disagree with, but largely this is never good. This is never a happy day, and it's never good for the wrestlers, especially if they don't see it coming. It's one thing if you kind of think you might be, and then it happens. You're like, okay, I kind of saw that coming. But when it blindsides you like this, I'm certain that Peyton and Billy did not see this coming. I don't know if Samoa Joe did or not. I don't think Chelsea Green did either. Maybe some of the other ones did, but you know, when you hear they're even told, oh no, you're going to be okay, and then they release you anyway, they don't give a shit. You know, they don't give a shit about you there. You know, you could imagine giving your whole life to that company, your whole career, and then they just cut you like it's nothing in a tweet on social media, you know, and they try to bullshit you. They try to tell you, oh, we're all family here and we're here for you, and blah. No, they're not. You know, they will cut you loose no matter what. Now, luckily, wrestlers get paid very well. So if you get a few years in WWE with a contract, you're probably making okay money. And if you know how to manage that money, you're probably not going to be starving and homeless tomorrow. You're probably going to be okay. But this is still your livelihood. This is still what you do. You wrestle to work. This is what you do is your career. You make a living doing this. So you want these people to have places to go. You want these people to land on their feet, and you want them to find work. We're in a pretty good environment for that right now. AEW has really helped giving the United States another national company that's on cable TV, you know, for somebody that and actually has money behind them and financial backing to be able to compete with WWE in contract negotiations and things like that. That is good. Plus you got NWA, plus you have Impact, plus you have Independence, which I think will probably be back stronger than ever once the pandemic fully blows over and we're kind of back to business in general. All over the place, you know, I think there's going to be places and opportunities for all of them. You know, it's just, you know, when you think about WWE, really at the end of the day, they don't give a fuck about anybody. And I've never really thought they did. It's just, we have to be reminded of that every year, that this is the way it is. Let me read another report from Fightful Select on Bo Dallas, because his was a little bit curious, because I'm surprised he's somebody that wasn't done a year ago. We haven't seen him in forever. So like last year, I'm surprised they didn't cut him during that April 15th wave of cuts. Last time I remember seeing him was with the B team shit with Kurt Axel. So, you know, maybe it's Bray Wyatt, you know, maybe they're keeping him there because of that and his family and his bloodline and shit like that. But, you know, they've finally now cut him. But there was an interesting report by Fightful Select today that I want to read to you just because of the ending I got a kick out of. But anyway, I quote, Bo Dallas was unfortunately among those released by WWE this week after being out of action since 2019. Bo Dallas had been backstage at some recent episodes of WWE SmackDown, but we've been told he'd not been figured into any creative plans whatsoever. He'd also started looking into additional business ventures. He was at WrestleMania festivities as of Friday and participated in a test match for a couple of minutes while WWE tested out their setup. For those of you ridiculously wondering if he portrayed the Fiend at any point, no, he didn't. And we did talk about that WrestleMania, you know, because he did look like Bray Wyatt slimmed down a little bit. And when you combine that with the rumors that they might be doing a double Fiend thing, some people thought it might have been Bo Dallas, but it was not. He is now cut as well. And he's one that I just honestly can't really be too shocked over. You haven't been on TV in like 2+ years. Like, what do you expect? So some people, like Bo Dallas, and situations like theirs is what I should say. It's not that shocking sometimes that you'll hear about a release like this, but I think I speak for everybody that there was definitely a few names today that was pretty shocking and that nobody really saw coming. So we'll see what that means. I don't, a lot of jokes today about AEW and Tony Khan going shopping. It's not like he's been given the cream of WWE's roster here. He was given a golden one in Samoa Joe. If they choose to pick that up and Samoa Joe's healthy and he can wrestle and he's cleared and all is good and he can have one final good run, couple of years in AEW, work with some good people. Who knows, man? They could do some awesome stuff there. He's got a lot of history. There's Kazarian is there, and Christopher Daniels, and a lot of other Impact stars from his day that he could, maybe hook back up with. And of course, we have Taz there as well, and they kind of have a small history. So anyway, we'll see. I think he's probably the biggest potential in terms of somewhere we could see him in the immediate future. I'm certain none of these releases were as lucky as Andrade, and they have probably all received 90 days. So they probably can't do anything till then, but once that's done, would be really awesome to see Samoa Joe in AEW. The others, I'm not chomping at the bit to see them there. Maybe Chelsea Green. I think Chelsea Green would be a big improvement for their roster. So maybe Chelsea and Samoa Joe are the top two out of everybody here. Everyone else, they'll land where they'll land, and all we can say here is we just wish them the best and hope everything works out as well as possible. And a lot of these are young. Think about Peyton and Billy, how young they are. They feel to me like two who can leave and come back. Unless they go to AEW or something and they fall in love with that company and they never want to leave and they sign their life away to be there forever or something, I feel that there are two more that can maybe go and get some more experience or just do something else, change of scenery and then come back in, because everybody will remember them. They could come back in 3 years from now and everybody will fully remember who they are. It's kind of hard to forget Billy Kay. So I think that they're in a position to maybe enter back in. So is Chelsea Green, perhaps. Everybody else, though, I don't know at this point, unless they brought Mickey back in to do more behind the scenes stuff. She was calling, I think, the kickoff on TakeOver, was she not? And I even said, I'm like, this is great having Mickey there. Put her on commentary. See if you can find a backstage role for her, because she's a veteran. She has shit to offer. She can be of value to you. And here she sits cut. Just a healthy scratch on April 15th. That's a shame. But, Mickey, she'll be fine too. She'll be fine. She's had her career. Everything now, I'm sure, is probably just extra for her. But I still think she had a couple miles in her. She wanted to wrestle, apparently. So anyway, let me cruise over to the chat and just say hello to you guys who are not expecting to see me on this Thursday. Smash that thumbs up button if you don't mind, since they are low at the moment. I think I got some super chats rolling in here as well. Good to see you in here. Chat Site Forums and Chase Gaming and Melissa from way back and Ben and Ryan. And thanks for Chat Site and a lot of you today who are tagging me. I can always count on you guys because when I wake up and I look at my phone, if I see I'm tagged in like 5 or 6 different things, I know something's up. So many of you were letting me know what was going on today, but then I kind of had to get up and I had to go do the vaccine stuff, and I've been running around all day and I haven't had a chance to really sit and and kind of look at this and read into exactly what was going on here. And like I said, this is all improv here. We're just kind of, winging it. I only have a few notes made about the, the releases and the names and a couple of the internet reports. Otherwise, we're just going to talk about it here and talk about the circumstances. The MJF sent out a funny tweet today. He said, "Stop posting the GIF." And there's that famous shot of MJF as an extra in NXT when he was helping escort Samoa Joe to the ring when he was NXT champion. There's a lot of people are like, "Oh, put Samoa Joe in AEW and just let him beat the shit out of the Pinnacle and choke out MJF." That would be awesome. Man, think about if Joe does come in with all of the factions. It's like almost like factions have replaced managers in wrestling in AEW. And it reminds me of like when Bam Bam Bigelow came in '87 in WWE, and there was like the battle for Bam Bam, and all the managers were trying to, were vying for his attention. They could do that in the factions. Samoa Joe comes in, you're going to have Team Taz, the Pinnacle, the Inner Circle, the Elite. Everybody's going to want Samoa Joe's services. And so it'll be interesting to see how they try to recruit and convince him. Dark Order, there's so many of them there. So that'll be interesting when and if that ever goes down. Good to see you as well. What's up, Dave Sims? Welcome, man. Wrestle Austin, Jet the Hawk, Diet Wadkas here, Shell Shock. Like I said, Chat Site Francisco. We've got Power Core. At this point, the brand just join the brands. I've always kind of said that, but I just don't think they're ever going to do that again. Yeah, poor Samoa Joe. Samoa Joe will be all right. I mean, in the long run, Samoa Joe will probably be better off because WWE, if they were going to put the WWE title on Samoa Joe, which I firmly believe they should have, they would have done it. They would have done it in 2017 when he wrestled Brock at Great Nuts of Fire or whatever. So they would have done it there. He's been a little bit injury prone since being in the WWE. Had a great run in NXT, but his time on the main roster has been, a little bit staggered, due to injuries and stuff. And I don't think WWE is going to put the belt on him. I think he deserves it, but I don't think WWE is going to do it. So when it comes to Samoa Joe getting back in the ring, I wouldn't say poor Samoa Joe. I would say this is Samoa Joe's chance. One final stamp, before his career is over. If he can stay healthy for a little bit and get a run, I think he can do much more meaningful things in an AEW ring than he can do in a WWE ring. Because on Raw and SmackDown, it's the same shit every week. You come out there and blah, 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 and then there's a tag match and then an impromptu tag and blah, blah, just nothing is meaningful at all. Here he can, probably be involved with one of the top factions, top storylines, probably contend for the world title, get title shots, shit like that. He can do things in AEW and probably have some pretty badass matches, especially if he does, a more violent deal. This guy used to be, quite the bleeder in TNA, and he hasn't really had a chance to show that side of him, that like Kurt Angle, Samoa Joe, that first altercation when Kurt headbutted him and busted his shit all up. We could get that Samoa Joe in AEW. Speaking of Kurt Angle, I would love to see them bring in Kurt too as like to head up a faction. I know we don't need any more factions in AEW, but it would be cool to see Angle and Samoa Joe in the ring together, not really to wrestle, but just to have that moment together in the ring. I think you could do a lot of that stuff in AEW. So I actually, in a lot of ways, am more excited for Joe, the prospects of Joe in AEW than WWE, but we're getting way ahead of ourselves here because we're talking about Samoa Joe being in AEW. He is in day one of his 90-day no-compete clause. So we got a long way to go before this is even talked about. But if it happens, those are some of the things that we could see there. So I'm not too concerned really about Joe. And thank you for that, Ryan. The call's next week. I'm not concerned about Samoa Joe and like in his future and his, in his livelihood. He's going to be fine. He's made his money. Just want us to be able to have more Joe, before there is no more Joe, you know what I mean? So AEW is the one place that I want to see him go more than anywhere else. Barry, what's up, dude? Welcome back. Thanks for 5 from you. Most of these people WWE wasn't doing it with anyway. Some of them can do better things now. Exactly. That's what I've been saying. If you're not doing anything, if I'm a wrestler like Tucker, how he tweeted out today, freedom, I'd be thrilled. He's been in WWE a couple years. He's able to make a little bit of money. I'm sure he's not, rich or a millionaire or anything like that, but, he's got a little bit of stability to where now he can, he's no longer being held down and there's a, boot on his neck of this ridiculous company that micromanages you to death. And you can go out now and do some stuff and see, what you can do. And I'm sure he'll find some work. We'll see if he can do some sort of a reinvention or get his name known a little bit more. And who knows, maybe someone like him can turn back up one day. You never know. Matt J. Hendricks, there's another one. Yeah, that's your next. Thanks for the $5, dude. Appreciate that. Now, apparently, WWE has filming vignettes this week for Aleister Black's return to TV, so I don't think he's getting released. I did see that report today that he is not going to be one of the people on the chopping block here, that they do have plans to bring him and reintroduce him back to TV, and they're filming vignettes for him. That's great. I'm not optimistic. I don't trust those motherfuckers for 1 second. I love Aleister Black. I think it's a crime that he's sitting at home, but at the same time, coming back to TV is great and everything, but you have to do something when you're on TV. And he's already been on TV a couple of times already on the main roster where it felt like he really hasn't done anything. It seems like he gets going there and the eye thing was kind of cool. And then they just fizzles. Everything just fizzles. It's like they just run out of gas on an idea. They just put a little bit of gas in the tank on an idea. And then when it burns out, it burns out. I'm like, you got to pour some more gas in there, man. So I hope that this time around, I hope they're not bringing him back to TV just to get use out of their money and a return on their investment. They're paying him, so they want to bring him to TV and just job him out for the next year. I have no idea how long he has left on his contract, but with everything that went down with Zelina Vega leaving, you got to wonder, how that relationship is. And if Aleister Black if his contract is up in, let's say 18 months, like a year and a half, and he already knows in his head he's not going to resign, what are they going to do with him? They're probably not going to use him much, and if they do, it's going to be in a lower capacity, limited role. I don't think he's going to be contending for U.S. titles or IC titles, and certainly not world titles. So it just depends. Even though I'm relieved that he's not going to be cut, part of me wishes Aleister Black would be cut because he's another guy that I would love to see in AEW. He's a guy that I think that they would use and say, we're not going to let this guy sit in the back, so this is one guy that we're going to put out there. So, I'm not of the belief that every single person that gets released from WWE to go to AEW, because you're going to hear that from the AEW, critics and the haters. Oh, they're just going to sign up everybody. No, they're not. They're not going to sign them all. TNA used to do that. I don't think AEW really does. And when they do, it's not like they're putting them right at the top. When TNA did that, when somebody came in from WWE, they always made them champion. Did you ever notice that? And Christian and Rob Van Dam and Mick Foley and everybody that came in, they were just champ. That's not really the case in AEW. The only guy that's really done it is Jon Moxley, but guys like Miro and others, they're just there. They're just there wrestling, as part of the roster. So I don't think AEW has that philosophy of bring everybody in just for the sake of bringing them in. Bring the people that you can use the best. And I think Aleister Black is one that they could, and I'd almost prefer him there than anywhere else. Right now, just because I don't trust WWE to do anything proper with him at all. I want him to return to that NXT form, and I feel like he's got a better option or better chance to do that in AEW. But who knows? I could be wrong. They might bring him back to TV, and he's going to be fighting Lashley at the next pay-per-view. So who knows what'll happen there? I have seen Velveteen Dream's name popping up a lot today on social media. Not because he was released, but because he was not released. So of all these names that we're seeing, this guy that had some pretty serious accusations leveled on him last year with that contact and the sexual misconduct with the minor and all that stuff, they are, still keeping him around. And people debate whether, that's fair or not. But, if there's one thing that has always been true about WWE is they have never been fair. Part of the reason is because life's not fair, but also WWE is hypocritical as hell. We know that. It's been proven. Deshaun Robinson, good to see you, man. Thanks for the $2, Velveteen Dream, and Jackson Riker still have jobs. Look, I'm no Jackson Riker fan, but there is a difference. I heard today, I heard yesterday, I didn't realize this. I think Raquel Gonzalez is one of those that Jackson Riker is. I'm like, for real? That sucks, but there's a big difference though between just being a fucking fool like Riker is and being a predator, which Velveteen Dream is. So even though I'm no big Jackson Riker fan, I don't think we want to get in the habit of releasing people due to political opinions. Even if I disagree with them, I don't think that's an avenue we want to go down. So Riker is still there, but I'm sure we'll see him get the shit beat out of him this week on Raw alongside Elias, as always. You know what I mean? Let me read some of these other comments from earlier. I don't think they're going to cut Baron Corbin. I don't feel that. I could be wrong, though. Xavier Woods is here, by the way. I don't think they're going to be cutting Baron Corbin, but I could be wrong. He's a guy that delivers and has good matches, and I don't think they'll cut him. And plus, for everybody that hates Baron Corbin, he'll go to AEW. I had this whole debate like a year ago. Some people were angrily debating me on this. Like it bothered them that bad, which cracked me up. I'm like, this isn't really something to get mad about. I don't know why you're getting mad. But I was basically like, if WWE released Baron Corbin, AEW would pick him up in a second because Baron Corbin is a good wrestler. And oh my God, you would have thought that I said they should have put the world title on Marco Stunt. It was the worst thing in the world that anybody had said, and they couldn't believe I had so crazy. AEW would never take Baron Corbin. I will bet you fucking anything they would. I hope WWE releases him just so he can show up there. And I can pull up all those tweets, and I'm like, told you idiots that he'll go there. So yeah, Baron Corbin, if he does go to leaves WWE, he's a big guy. He's got presence and history and can work and do stuff. They'll bring him in. He can play the role of a Wardlow or a Jake Hager in one of these fucking factions. They will do it. Don't act like they won't. But I don't think he's going anywhere. I think WWE's hanging on to Baron Corbin. Duelist Abe, EMT here, was down for 2 days after my second vaccine. Hope you recover well. Thank you for that. A lot of people have been telling me the 1 to 2 days thing. I've been hearing that a lot. So hopefully that should time it perfectly for Sunday. Hopefully we'll be able to do the Backlash watch along with no problem, and I won't be under the weather. But if it hits me, I'm sure it'll hit me tonight, and I'll probably feel like ass tomorrow and Saturday, and hopefully back ready to rock on Sunday. So another reason why we're not doing the Winged Eagle podcast this Saturday, because I got other stuff I'm working on, and I might be sick. We'll see. It'll be a fun weekend anyway. Yeah, Mr. Cass, Joe is gone, unfortunately. Orbit the World, how the hell do they release Mickie James? She's a legend and one of the reasons why women wrestle today, and there's even a women's division. True. True. But at the same time, they weren't doing anything with her for whatever reason. I was really excited for her to be on commentary for NXT. I'm like, oh, cool. They're finding shit for Mickie to do. But if we read the Fightful Select report earlier on, and they had said that Mickie has expressed desire to get in the ring. WWE doesn't want her to. This is a situation that's gone all the way back to Randy Savage, when Randy wanted to wrestle more and Vince didn't want him to. And so there you go. And next thing you know, he's in WCW. So sometimes what a talent wants is different from what the company wants. And that leads to them leaving as well. So there's probably a lot of things that led to these decisions and, internally from both sides. And that's why I have a feeling WWE, if I remember right, in recent years with some of these releases, they do tend to do them in chunks. So we might get another chunk tomorrow. I hope not, but could be. Yes, I did see that as well. Thank you for that, Nate. Dynamite, AEW Dynamite pulled in like a 1.219 million rating for last night, which is great, higher than I thought. My hope for NXT and AEW was that we'd reach 1 million. Because if they're already at 700 or 8,000 right now, sometimes NXT's sitting at 6, unopposed, I would hope that number would increase. They have to increase. NXT, I was actually surprised they did as low as they did. I think when the 800,000 or something on Tuesday, I thought coming off a takeover, unopposed, they might be 900,000, closer to 1 million. AEW jumped up a lot. That's a big increase for them. Probably 40%, 30-40% there. Will those numbers continue? I don't know. I don't see any reason why not to. It's not like it was a special AEW. They weren't coming off of a pay-per-view. NXT was. And they drew a much higher rating than NXT. And I know for me, it would be a big help if I didn't have to, flip channels or watch one or choose to watch one now and watch another one later and shit like that. I enjoyed the Wednesday Night Wars, but it is kind of fun not having to worry about that and to see what kind of numbers they can do on their own. And I've been talking about that a lot on the channel, that I'm excited to see the ratings. Oh, Mike does ratings, doesn't matter. I don't give a fuck. I want to see them. I want to see how these companies perform unopposed to the other. And AEW shot up big in their rating, and that's good news. And it kind of, and it validates really WWE's decision to move their shit to Wednesdays before and go head to head and counter program this shit to stunt the growth of AEW. It worked, because if these numbers continue, WWE, they put a hurting, on their numbers, so if AEW is doing a 1.2 on Wednesdays, Raw did a 1.7 for the go home show. This ain't, WWE was crushing TNA's rating, back when ratings in general were so much higher, but this is close, and I said that months ago. I was like, if they ever go unopposed, I'm curious to see what the Wednesday Night Dynamite rating does compared to the Monday Night Raw rating. I want to see those two numbers. And right now they are not that far off, especially since WWE has got a 60-year head start and AEW is 18 months old. And, it's incredible, man. Or not even, shit. What are they, fucking year or something? So that's a promising number, and that's good. So I'm really happy for that. I saw a lot of people, thinking the ratings for neither show aren't going to do anything. I'm like, what are you talking about? They're going to go up a little. They're not going to double or anything. But this idea that none of them are going to budge because the fans already decided which shows they're going to support, bitch, please. As if the fans don't watch things they don't like. They live for that. That's all they want to do. All they want to do is watch shit. I saw it the other night. I was not working, or I was at work last night, so I wasn't able to watch Dynamite live. So I'm reading Twitter. And it's just all these people just shitting on AEW. They're just stupid and blah, 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 blah. It's the same week. And I guess they're probably just doing it to rile up people on the other side. I'm like, this just seems like the worst use of my time in the world, to specifically watch something so you can tweet criticisms in order to rile up other people. I have this thing that's called, oh man, I forgot the name of it. What is it called? Oh yeah, a life. And that prevents me from doing stupid shit like that and just being able to watch and enjoy wrestling like a normal goddamn human being. So I found it surprising that people were like, oh, the fans aren't going to watch them more because they already know. No, don't even say that. If people who do not like AEW tune in to watch it purposely so they can just be dickbags. They got nothing else to do in their pathetic, shitty little lives. So that's definitely going to make a difference. People will hate watch. And I think there would be more hate watching going on in AEW than NXT. I don't think the AEW crazy cult fans, and they exist, trust me, I don't think those people are really, as many of them, are going out of their way to watch NXT and trash it the whole time on Twitter. I don't see a whole lot of that, but I do see the other side of that. I do see a lot of anti-AEW people going on social media and trashing them. And these are the same people that claim that the fans on the other side are cult-like and out of their minds. I'm like, well, motherfucker, you're the one watching the show you don't like, so who's really crazy here? And now that that's over, now that we have these two shows separated, and hopefully this will a little bit maybe alleviate some of that tension amongst the fans, fat fucking chance, right? I laughed that it was like still happening. And at the end of the day, you know, I look at this as good news. You know, you definitely have some anti-AEW people who are upset about this rating. And what does that tell you about them for what kind of wrestling fans they are? They are upset that a wrestling company is succeeding on their cable station. They're doing numbers. They're doing respectable numbers. And these numbers are going up. And they're providing good TV. And the biggest thing of all, it's a wrestling company for other people. Like all of these great men and women that were released today, another option for them to go. For you to root for their downfall. For you to root for their failure. And for you to root for them to go out of business just so you can laugh at the fans at the other side at the expense of all these wrestlers that could be going there and making livings there. And you'd rather trade that. You'd rather trade the option of having wrestlers find a second place to go other than Vince, where they can entertain us, make money, support their families, pay their bills. You'd rather not have that just so you can continue your war with the fans you don't like. I think some wrestling fans need to reevaluate their goddamn priorities in life because that's a little bit stupid. And I'm happy about that number. I think it's great, and I think that's a positive move forward. We'll see if it sticks. It's 1 week. Next week, I'm real curious now to see what AEW's number is. Not so much for NXT. I feel like NXT is going to be in that neighborhood. They're on a new night, though. They got to establish that, too. Don't forget. You know, they just made that announcement like the week before. So once fans are used to seeing NXT on Tuesday, that number should climb. I think both companies should be sitting at right around 1 million. I think NXT and AEW should do similar numbers on Tuesdays and Wednesdays in the million range, in the million viewer range. Maybe 900K for NXT, 1 million for AEW, or vice versa, or whatever. I think they should at least be near the million, and they shouldn't be hovering around the 700,000 or 800,000 anymore. Their numbers should increase by default going unopposed. That's my opinion. So far, I've been proven right. We'll see if that continues, though, because next week the rating could tank. You don't know. You don't know what's going to happen there, but this is promising. There's nothing you can look at in AEW's rating and say that was a negative rating, or that's negative in any way, because last night's show was very good, but at the same time, there was a couple parts of the show that was kind of typical, vintage AEW, the overbooking of matches and doing a few things that aren't necessary, and some of the production aspects of the show that they're still learning, and they're cutting their teeth, and that learning curve and that learning period. A lot of the talent, some of it is still green, a little bit. The stage is too big for them, and maybe some occasions. All that stuff still exists in AEW, but you still are building yourself a unique company, different from WWE. They are extremely faction heavy right now, and I like it. A year ago, we had Babyface Elite taking on heel Inner Circle in a stadium stampede. Now these two factions are reversed. Now one's a heel, the other one's Babyface. You got other ones. You got Pinnacle now. You got Dark Order. You got Team Taz. You got a lot of stuff going on here, and that's not what we're seeing in WWE. WWE isn't driven by factions right now. AEW is trying this and saying, okay, let's do this because this is different than over there. So, to me, when you're only a year or so old, 2 years old, whatever they are now, and they've only been on TV since October of 2019, less so, yeah, I guess about 18 months or so, for them to be able to be doing this well, I think it's pretty good. It took WCW a while to kind of find their groove. AEW, they came out swinging, they got talent there, and apparently they might be able to grab some more now if WWE decides to cut some of their fat. So I think they're going to continue to get better. They can only get better, I feel like. They can't get worse because they have money and backing behind them. WCW's downfall was they lost all their support, their internal support. They lost Ted Turner and, just wanting to keep it. And they lost, they didn't have much infrastructure to begin with, but financially they lost all that. AEW, I don't see that happening to them. So if they continue to get better and they continue to improve on the TV, because that's another thing, the people that criticize AEW and say, oh, their TV or their show was garbage or their show was shit. Well, don't you want them to get better then and not worse? But getting better wouldn't be any fun. Then you'd have nothing to be an asshole about. So I think that everything that they're doing so far in AEW isn't perfect, but it's pretty good for a company that's this new. that has already seen this type of success, and they've been able to attract the type of talent coming over there that they were attracted. I mean, they didn't, WWE didn't release Christian and he went and signed with them. He chose to sign with them. And you're going to see a lot of those situations where, some people are going to choose, if they are in the lucky position of being a free agent, they might choose AEW over WWE. A lot of other people did. Bucks and Kenny Omega, they were all offered NXT deals, big money deals, turned them all down. So this is a place that people might aspire to go, want to go. Apparently it's a positive, working environment for the most part. It's not all sunshine and rainbows, but for the most part, it's a much better environment to work in than WWE in terms of how you are just owned, by another company. You can kind of do your own things. You can do your own cameos, do your own Twitches, be an individual. Rob Van Dam talked a lot about individuality in his Hall of Fame speech. You have the ability to do that in AEW, and you don't have that ability in WWE. You are completely at their mercy. So rooting against that company, I think, is foolish, and rooting against that company does not make you a wrestling fan at all. It makes you a dick. So if you don't like it, just don't watch it, and that's all you have to do. Don't sit there and pretend you know what wrestling is better than the others, especially when your dumbass has probably only been watching wrestling since 2005, which tends to be the most. That's what I've noticed. The most disingenuous people on YouTube seem to be, or wrestling Twitter, I should say, seem to have the same type of wrestling history knowledge that Lacey Von Erich does. It's non-existent, yet they think they know best. There's your lecture for the day. Let me knock out these super chats, and then I got to roll. I had a bottom of the hour curfew here, so I got to get out of here in just a couple of minutes. But I want to thank you guys for being here today. We'll knock out these super chats and see if any more final comments are coming in on some of these releases. And I would love if you would smash that thumbs up button for me on your way out the door. Thank you for that. We've got... Oh, I got to go way back up. All right, let me knock out these supers one at a time. Here we go. Didn't want to miss anybody. Rude Killer 17. Appreciate the $5, dude. Samoa Joe never got a world championship run in WWE. Now I'm sad. Yeah, well, luckily earlier on I just talked about the Samoa Joe being champion and why I think maybe he wasn't, and why he's probably not going to be in WWE. And if he does want to hold a world title again, AEW or Impact is going to have to be his best bet there. But I really want to see Samoa Joe back in a combat environment because he's awesome. Yeah, Stone Cold, it's a shame. Oh no, Joe. Thanks for the $2, dude. Who's next? We've got Luigi DeRaw Gaming. Appreciate $5 from you. Do you think WWE will bring back anyone like Drake Maverick last year? I don't know if any of them released some teary-eyed video on social media. Like I said, of all these names, I think the only ones that might be really devastated would be like the Iconics. Perhaps maybe even Chelsea Green, although I don't think she's devastated. It's not in her character to be devastated, but I think she didn't see that coming. So maybe them, but the rest of them probably weren't super duper duper shocked or anything like that. But I don't think it's going to be like what they did last year where they kind of made it a storyline and stuff. I think it'll be in the future type of thing, not just brought back in 3 days. I think it'll be, like I talked about the Iconics. Maybe they go away for 3 years. They come back super seasoned with a fresh attitude, whole bunch of new experience, a few more bumps and bruises and battle scars along the way. They might come back with a whole new outlook on WWE. It might be, sometimes you need that. You need to get a, change of pace, new atmosphere, new town. Stone Cold 10X, appreciate the $2 from you. Man, I wanted my Lashley versus Joe match. I know. Could have gotten it, but Lashley probably would have gone over in that situation. Rude Killer, thanks for 5 more from you. Add 1 women's tag team title, and I'll take away 1 women's tag. Oh, I gotcha. Cool with me. Cerebus Cord, thanks for the 5, and good to see you back. Thank you for that. Baron is actually a pretty terrifying dude. Is huge. AEW would be super lucky to get him. Yeah, he's big. He's got presence. He's got fight. Wasn't he like a Golden Gloves or boxer or something like that? And I don't care what you say about him. I don't really like his stupid face, his stupid head, his music, the outfit he wears. Nothing about him I really like, but the dude can work. If you tell him to go out there and deliver you a good 14-minute match, he can do that. And he can give it to anybody, and he would be an asset. When the fans say, oh, AEW would never want him, that's them that's thinking with their heart and not with their head. Because they're all marks, right? We all are. Marcus Metcalf, good to see you as well. Thanks for the $5. Impact just announced that Mauro Ranallo will be calling the Omega versus Swan main event at Rebellion. Wow, when is Rebellion? Anyway. Is that on the 20th? That's awesome. That is really awesome. Well, I'm glad we got that news as we're doing the live stream here. Damn, right on, Morrow. Cool. That's excellent. He'll make that a lot of fun. But they don't have any fans back there. Are they going to have fans for that rebellion or no? Probably not. I don't think Impact's brought any humans in yet. I feel like if you have no fans there and you have to hear Morrow screaming over that silence, that's going to be awkward. I love Mauro Ranallo and everything, but I'm not sure how that's going to sound in an empty arena deal. But I don't know. By then, they might have some fans there. I'm not sure. I don't keep tabs on Impact as best as I should. April 25th. Thank you for that. And that's a Sunday? Oh, that's a Saturday. Or that's a Sunday. I was going to probably do a watch along that night. We might not if there's a paper, if that rebellion is going on. We'll have to see. Anywho, I got to get out of here now, guys. I appreciate those of you who are here on this impromptu stream talking about these releases. Just as a reminder, no Winged Eagle podcast this Saturday. If we get another handful of names tomorrow, I will come up Saturday and do a small little video like this talking about these releases, unless the second vaccine shot that I got today kicks my ass and I'm not able. So possibly Saturday, you'll see me. If not, you will see me this coming Sunday. Like I said, link is in the description below, and it's on my channel right now. Backlash 2000, watch along. That's going to be fun Sunday night, so join us here. Crack open a couple of cold ones, and we'll watch some wrestling from a much more fun time period than what we're talking about now. You guys have a great rest of